Society has bought into the cliche stereotype that women want commitment, but men don't. So it's not uncommon for women to feel like they're doomed into an undignified role of pulling teeth as they try to coerce men into commitment. But today I'm going to be revealing 5 hidden fears that prevent awesome guys from committing, so you can address this head on and experience men willingly committing to you from a place of inspiration rather than fear or ultimatum. The conversation around commitment needs to be revisited, because I think that we live in a culture, as I said earlier, where we have this caricaturesque version of what guys want and what women want. And I think that men who are highly emotional beings, contrary to popular belief, are willing to commit, are excited to commit many times. They just don't want to commit in a way where they are not seen or felt, or they feel used. Because sometimes you have an idea, you have an agenda, you have a way of things you want to experience. And sometimes it's the checking of the boxes more so than what do we really want that's driving the energy behind the commitment, behind the proposal, behind the wedding. There's so much pressure from society, from family, from you name it, friends, that sometimes we get to forget that we're human beings who have very specific and unique needs. The first fear that guys are going to go through that will prevent them from commitment, and I'll say in the form of a question, is, will you honor my freedom? And by that, I'm not talking about a guy saying, I'm going to do what I want with whom I want, whenever I want. That's a narcissistic, selfish break. I'm talking about, will you value me enough to know that I have friendships, that I have things that I enjoy doing on my own, and I'll continue enjoying and wanting those things as we grow together, that it's me and it's you and there's us, but it's not just us. The more you get a chance to talk about what freedom really means to him, the more you get a chance to talk about what are the things that you're cool and excited about, him being a separate individual from you and you creating a life together, but also having each individual life of dreams and hopes and friendships and hobbies and things that should stay in place if you're healthy human beings, the more he'll lose the freedom of, I'm going to have to change so much to be with you. The second one, which is kind of directed to this one, second fear is, will you try to change me? Because there's so much that happens when you fall in love with a guy, and there's so much that the roles of what a husband should do and what provider should do, and the heavier that goes and the more difference between what is right now and what needs to be, the more fear naturally there's going to be in him. Because if you're falling in love with the potential of someone and you feel really he has to make all these changes to be happily in a relationship with them because there's more commitment, then the bigger the shift, the more likely it is that he's going to have some resistance. The more that you really secretly hope that when we get married, these are all the things that are going to go, and these are all the things that's going to change, and he is going to dress this way. The more you have that hit in the back of your mind, the more he's feeling it. You may not even talk about it, but he knows that there's this big need or this big shift that's required for him to be in that type of relationship. So the bigger the gap between the way he is right now and the way you wish he is, the more in a challenging situation you're putting him in, because he really has to convert into a different kind of human being to be happily with you. The more you can have a healthy, connected relationship where you're excited with what you're getting. Yes, you want some changes, as he may want some changes, but you're happy with who he is. You don't need him to change to continue being with him, other than the higher level of commitment. The more that's the case, the more he'll be able to commit. The more you have a hidden agenda that he can gauge and feel like a gravitational pull of a black hole without necessarily seeing it, the more he feels that this, I'm going to have to make all these changes for her to be happy with me, the more you're living in a fantasy instead of a relationship. Number 3 is, will you fight for my heart when my role is more convenient? What does that mean? Unfortunately, men have learned that their value and their worth is equal to their utility. I am valuable because I provide things to my family, because I provide finances, because I solve problems, because I'm burdening myself with responsibility. And I'm not saying that's not valuable in a man, but that's not all that's valuable in a guy. And when a guy feels like their expectations are high on your end in terms of the way he needs to provide, the way he needs to show up, to the point where he might feel burnt out, he might feel like he can no longer do it, but he has to continue down this rat race because that's the expectation. And you're going to enjoy his role more than you're going to be careful about his heart, the less likely he is to commit. So I think it's powerful for both of you to sit down and talk about what are the expectations. And also it's fair game to grow and change and want different things. And it's fair game for you to get tired of doing certain things. It's fair game for both of us to add value to each other's lives instead of having this society imposed role of what a man should be without having the ability to snap out of it at times, right? Otherwise, it becomes overwhelming. It becomes super heavy. Now, before I share my last two fears that I think will be very insightful for you, if you're a single woman watching this, I'd be willing to bet you're not fully aware of the root cause you're still single. And what I've done is I've taken 13 years of helping women in every continent, every walk of life, every love challenge you can imagine, and helping those women to attract their ideal life partners, sustainable, loving, committed life partners. And I've put together a quiz you can take in about 60 seconds that will reveal to you the elusive answer to the question why you're still single. If you want to participate, all you have to do is go to the first link in the description. You will see a link that looks like this, answer a few simple questions, and in 60 seconds, you'll have two things. Answer the question why you're still single, and a custom report is going to share, based on your specific blind spot, what's the number one thing you can do starting today to attract the guy you want in a fraction of the time. Fear number 4, will you share the burden of life with me? Yes, I know I'm a guy. I'm supposed to suffer. I'm supposed to really take the weight of the world on my shoulders. That's what's expected of me. If he's a good guy, he has some feeling of that. Will you chip in financially? Will you chip in emotionally? Will you chip in energetically? Like, are you my true partner? Are you someone who's going to put the hands in the dirt and the mud and do things with me? Or will you retreat to your expectations of this era of the feminine where your role is just to receive and to feel? I think it's a misconception. I think that both human beings have the ability to solve, to make things better. And the more he understands you're a true partner, not just in good times, but in bad times, the more he's willing to say, you and me can do so much more together than me on my own or you on your own. Last one would be, do you trust me enough to be vulnerable? Do you trust me? Do you need me? Do you need me to add value to your life? And if so, are you clear about it? Do you trust me to safeguard your heart? Do you trust me with your deepest dreams and your fears? Or are you going to have to play tough in front of me so that you don't feel like you might lose something if I betray you one day? If you really trust the guy, if you're vulnerable with him, then he's going to feel a lot more activating force inside of him to be there for you because he knows there's a real need instead of just I'm keeping you at arm's length. I'm going to give you a bonus one. And the bonus one is, can you see the best in me when I lose sight of myself? Just as I'm willing to see the best in you when you lose track of who you really are. Life is going to be challenging. Life is going to be super rough at times. It's not just fun and giggles. There's going to be fun times. There's going to be really tough times. So when I start losing track of myself, will you remind me gently of who I am? Just as I will remind you of the greatness I see in you when you forget it yourself. Hope this is helpful and useful. And if it is, it would mean the world to me and to my channel if you click like and subscribe, because that's how I can reach more women and help them. If you find this is valuable, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you want to continue learning how you can attract the guy you want without the need for gimmicks, manipulation, games, or stupid techniques, make sure to go to the next video right here.